What's up guys, welcome back to another video. It's Aogi Knight here. Today we're reacting to why trans people are being radicalized and how violence is being normalized with Andingo. Alright.
Hear more, especially in the wake of what happened to Charlie Kirk about, quote, Trantifa, because when Charlie Kirk was shot dead, he was being asked a question about
R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, by the way.
transgender identifying mass shooters. And you posted recently, I've been warning for a long time that leftist trans people are being radicalized openly into carrying out acts of ultraviolence. All of the trans propaganda is about disemboweling, slitting throats, and shooting dead those who oppose their agenda. If you could flesh out some of what you see as the link here, that would be great, especially in light of obviously we know what happened sadly in Minneapolis at the back to school mass, where two little kids were shot in a mass shooting. Many people were
Right, the
injured.
Catholic school shooting, R.I.P. The children there, if any of them died. I think most some were injured, but I think most of them survived. I think so.
Those kids passed, and then you have shortly after that Tyler Robinson shooting Charlie Kirk, connected apparently to a trans roommate slash lover. Both of them seem to be into the world of, God forbid I say this, furries. What's going on with this?
So 5 years ago, during the BLM Antifa riots, I immediately noticed that there was something weird going on in that disproportionately those who were being arrested in Portland as well as other cities. I mentioned Portland just because the riots went on for so long that, and I every night I would request the public records of who were being arrested, names, um, accused crimes, and photos. And I would look into them, and then I was finding, but disproportionately they were gender diverse. I'll say that, and that is an umbrella term to include people who are non-binary and trans and any of these identities around gender. Some nights it was like 15% of arrestees who were and it would go up as high as a third. You know, it's like this is a really interesting phenomenon. I mentioned it briefly in my book.
Interesting. Most of the arrests, I think it's uh in a certain area, were arrested were gender diverse people. Okay.
Unmasked at that time. It was just sort of like not a passing observance, but it was like, hey, there's a bit more to that. So Antifa, and I would say the radical left, they are very context and time specific in how they mobilize people and radicalize people and recruit. So for more than half a decade, they had BLM as the messaging, amplifying lies about racial grievances, lies about police brutality, using that with references to history, slavery, and Jim Crow era to really try to radicalize many liberals. And there's
Yeah, when you of course a lot of people seem to make these appeals to slavery, appeals to like the past, to radicalize people in the present, and saying, well, this stuff's still going on today. It hasn't stopped, making people feel like, okay, well, we've still got something to do about it. There's still something big we have to solve, and then kind of radicalize people. I'd imagine. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I can see how it can easily radicalize somebody.
I've seen it so many times in those who have been convicted at the riots, this sort of pipeline, like beginning of their university, they were campaigning for Democrats and all that, and then they would join the DSA, and then eventually they would join Antifa, like this gradual moving further and further left. And
A lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people people seem to say that, oh well, okay, well, if colleges don't actually indoctrinate people, it's not actually happening. Well, I mean, I've literally seen examples of this on YouTube where people literally talk about like college courses, or like this is literally what they're being taught in their college courses. It's literally indoctrination. I mean, even in like high school or maybe even middle school too, there might be some indoctrination going on as well. So also in some elementary schools, I mean, there's been crazy books being found in elementary schools that are literally very descriptive of inappropriate things in elementary schools, and the kids are able to read that. So I mean, it's it's not school appropriate, but people are saying, well, like just talking about it as if like it's people are just saying it's not happening. But I mean, I've seen some examples of it. I mean, it's literally happening. there are videos of people going up to the school board or whatever, showing the book that was in their school, saying this book was in my kid's middle or elementary school. Here's what this book says, and they'll read a passage from it, and then the school board will go, that's a little inappropriate. Why don't you go sit down? Why don't you go put that book away or whatever, or why don't you go close that book there, stop reading here. But they'll say, well, this was in our like elementary school. Like, if it's not appropriate for here, why isn't it appropriate for elementary school? So it's like, I mean, it's insane the things that you indoctrinating things you could find in like these schools that even the school board don't want to address here. So, I mean, it's insane.
And it would start with those who are supporters of Democrats. But BLM has had some catastrophic PR moments in the scandals financially, even to the point like where those who are sympathetic and supportive of BLM, they heard about how the money was wasted.
Oh yeah,
and used to really just enrich organizers. I
heard about like 6 mansions, I think, or maybe mansion costing $6 million. I forgot which it was, but something like that. It was. They like the co-founder and like the founder or the co-founder, someone else or whatever, or something like that got like, I don't know the story off the top of my head, but like they got like from what I've heard at least, they got like mansions and stuff with the money. So I'm not sure if they got this money from like supporters, from donations, I think, but it was like, I think it's like a scandal or like some kind of thing going on. So
it was, you can look. There's been no better outcome for Black people in any of these cities where BLM was very active, in cities where city council would defund police or cut back funding on police who support racial justice causes. It's like violent crimes went up, more Black people died.
The idea of like defunding the police, or the idea of like getting rid of the police, is just kind of dumb. Because if you get rid of the police, who's gonna protect you from things, especially if you want to get rid of guns and police? Like, then what are you going to protect? What's going to protect you against robbers? What's going to protect you against people being violent to you? You're going to have no one to come save you, rescue you. Now it's just going to be you, because you wanted the government out of your business, because you don't want the government to quote help you. Now you're not having any help at all because you got rid of the people's help, which are guns, people's protection, and then you got rid of like the police as well, the public protection, and now you have nothing. So it's just, I mean, look what's happening in these leftist cities as well. Like, the police aren't really being active. They're not stopping these crimes in left cities. And so Trump has to like put in the National Guard of these cities to actually help stop these crimes from happening, because the police are doing nothing. Well, that's what happens when the police do nothing. People literally think they can steal whatever they want. They think they can go into stores and do all that without any consequence, because, well, they kind of can, because the police aren't stopping them. So anyway, let's continue.
So the grievance that Antifa and the violent far left have really focused on has been around trans. And they will say that, like in the last 5 years, the efforts by various conservative states to pass laws that would limit or ban transitioning of minors in the state, for example, they would bring that up. Protests and criticisms of so-called family-friendly drag events, they would view that as an event. And the lies they use is that there's a genocide going on. So it's...
Yeah, they'll use like the one, like this a certain framework of like 10 steps to like a genocide or whatever, and so I've seen like a video where some people think they're like on like step 8 or something, or like they think they're really far into it, where basically it's just a couple steps away from a genocide. I mean, literally, like I don't see people wanting to say they want to literally harm trans people. They just don't want the trans people going to the opposite sex's bathrooms, and they don't want the trans people like indoctrinating children. I mean, excuse me. It's not even that early in the morning, but I'm yawning. Anyway, like they don't want this trans ideology in schools. They don't want minors being encouraged to transition when they're minors, and they can't even vote yet. They can't even drink yet. They can't even smoke yet. But yet they're being encouraged to transition their body and getting surgery eventually. some getting surgery as early as like 15 or earlier than that. Like I have heard some stories, at least, of people getting like getting some stuff at like 13, I think. But usually, don't people don't get surgeries younger than that. They'll usually get hormone replacement therapy, I think. But like they get hormone replacement therapy at like 8 or something, or maybe 13. And they'll get surgery a little later, like a couple years later and such. Depending on what age they are and who's like how rushed they're being on this, or if if they want surgery or whatever. But like I mean, think about this. Like, let me know in the comments down below. Like, what kind of child would come to you and go and say they're the opposite gender without getting indoctrinated? If they didn't get indoctrinated, would any kid really question that they're the wrong gender? Would any kid really think that without being told that that's a thing?
It's the themes of the BLM lies are it's similar to those BLM lies. It's just now the target of the victim is different. So talk about trans genocide and
Trans people being killed for being trans, and hate crimes against the transgender community, which is not what the metrics really show.
Yeah.
And yet you're seeing people like the celebration of Charlie Kirk's murder, because you've seen these people celebrate that. Someone getting killed for speaking their mind, for exercising their right to free speech. But then some of these people also turn around and go, well, what about our free speech? What about the time? What about like so and so? What about this happen? Or what about the free speech of trans people? Whatever, they'll mention that. But like, well, what about Charlie Kirk? Some of you guys celebrated him. Somebody celebrated his murder, right? Even though he was speaking out. I mean, a trans person murdered him. So actually, maybe not, yeah. Or at least a trans, someone with a trans. Sorry, maybe not a trans person. It was I think it was an LGBT individual, but I think it was like the person's partner was trans. I don't think they were trans. My bad. But they were killed by a leftist at least.
So like back in 2019, I remember every year the Human Rights Campaign and many Democrats they kept bringing up this thing about Trans Day of Remembrance because there was trans genocide going on. And I would look into that. Like there would be an average of between 25 to 35 trans homicide a year in the US, in a country of 360 million. So with a number that small, I could actually dig into each case. Like, okay, case by case, what was the circumstances?
Interesting. Okay. That doesn't seem to be very many cases of that.
Over and over, it was a black sex worker where the suspect or the convict of the murder was a black male. And these were people engaged in street sex work. And that is a type of work that is dangerous for anybody involved in it.
Just extremely sad stories too.
Yeah.
Well, obviously none of us should be condoning this, obviously, either. I mean, they should have been murdered, but it's to say that this is a trans genocide when there's other factors at hand. That's kind of dishonest. That could be dishonest unless you actually figure out that it wasn't these factors and such. So.
But that wasn't evidence of a genocide happening, but nevertheless, it's about narrative, and those lies have been mainstreamed. And not just mainstream, but the reaction from the trans activists has been to urge violence against those who they view are against trans rights, and they're not subtle about it at all. At all of these trans demonstrations and protests, you'll see that they will often brandish weapons, carry weapons. They'll wear signs. They'll wear shirts and hold placards and signs that say things like "protect trans kids," and then there's an image of a knife. Or
the Minnesota Attorney General, right? Wasn't that what the Minnesota?
Yeah, I think I literally saw someone not too long ago, like probably within the last month, that had like a shirt that says "Protect Trans Kids" with a knife on it. It's sad. And I also saw like a woman with like somewhere with like recently as well with a kid that shirt said like "human" on it, like a bunch of different times with like some of the LGBT colors, I think, on it. So I mean like this stuff kind of is happening. You're getting people who do want like their kids to be LGBT, or they want them to at least be told about it in this way, in a certain ways, like at least in some kind of indoctrination ways. Tell them about it, like, and they'll try to they'll probably get them to wear like a shirt that says it. You know, the kids don't know what that means. They're just a kid, you know, and they're wearing these shirts where they probably don't understand the premise of what the shirt's actually saying, even like, or the in-depthness or that there is actually of these things. So
The
The
Attorney General
Minnesota
had.
Lieutenant
Governor. Okay.
Governor. That's right. She wore that shirt with the knife on it at a a presser announcing that Minnesota was a sanctuary state for trans kids. And
sanctuary
there were
state, okay, or sanctuary of state. I don't know what he said there, but okay, a governor, really like a lieutenant governor, not governor, but like a lieutenant governor. Don't know what position that is. I'll have to do some research on that, but I mean, there's probably somebody involved in politics here who's got this shirt on and stuff. We're talking about protecting trans kids. Like, if you're saying protect trans people, that's a little different than saying protect trans kids, you know. But anyway, it's
there was
good.
no social pushback at all. So when you create this environment where that type of violent extremism is normalized, you're going to have people that celebrate assassinations, as we see. You know, and going back to like that data of like right versus left violence, I think part of that research needs to look into how welcomed is those acts, those killings, because like that is indicative, I think, of something much more dangerous of where the culture is moving in, because there's always going to be isolated incidents of hate crimes or violent homicides that have some type of hate motive. But like if those individuals who carry out those ideologically, politically motivated attacks are celebrated and treated as heroes within the wider culture, like that's the bigger WTF, what's going on.
Yeah, it's not simply that it happened by like someone who's like LGBTQ. It's like that's not as concerning as what's been happening of what people celebrating it. It's the fact that people are celebrating the death. People are celebrating the murder of these innocent people that and cheering on the shooter, cheering on the person who did it, who is LGBTQ, like cheering on that because they disagreed. That is what's really concerning.
And I don't think the right at this point has a cult of personality around killers.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
You know, some people make comparisons with Kyle Rittenhouse. It's not fair to compare Kyle Rittenhouse with Tyler Robinson, for example. Completely different scenarios. Rittenhouse was viewed as a hero because he was somebody, a teenage boy who was under attack and under physical attack by adults and fired in self-defense. And he was put
Yeah,
through the fire.
I think the person who was like, not him, but like he was someone who was like there as well. Like, so saying that he was pointing a gun at him or whatever, but like, so basically Kyle Rittenhouse was being threatened or whatever. I watched some of the hearing a little bit, but or a clip of the hearing or something where like the person that like Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't know what's going on, but like Kyle Rittenhouse, of course, like shots of people, but like this person that was not Kyle Rittenhouse, that was like mentioned him, like him or someone like having like a gun pointed at him at Kyle Rittenhouse. So and so it was most likely, I would say, it's in self defense, right? So I think this was the conclusion, I think, but I don't know. I haven't watched the conclusion yet, so.
I mean, he was prosecuted and went all the way to trial, and he was facing murder charges and many, many years in prison, and he was acquitted. You know, it wasn't somebody. I struggle to think of examples on the right where somebody who's assassinated for a right-wing cause has been treated as a hero.
Are you looking to support more made in the USA manufacturing this year? Like I am, definitely. Whether it's home decor, clothing, or furniture, it's become extremely difficult.
I think this would be like an ad here. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys like the video, leave it a like. And if you guys haven't seen my content before but you like it, please subscribe. I do appreciate your subscriptions. This makes it seem like you're paying for something. You're not. But please subscribe. I appreciate when people subscribe. Thank you very much for that. Thank you guys so much. And can you leave a comment down below what you guys think. Was it a good video? Was it not? You know, check out their channel, After Party with Emily Jashinsky. I think that's a Slavic name, I would think, because it's got ski at the end. Or I think Yashinsky or something would be more probably Slavic pronunciation, but anyway, if you guys like the video, and also, I'll get out. Bye!